The Galactic Council chamber floated above the planet Zenther Prime, a massive ring of crystalline metal that reflected the light of 3 suns. Inside, representatives from 47 species sat in their designated zones, each environment carefully controlled for their biological needs. The Kryn breathed methane in their sealed pods. The Vorthak floated in tanks of liquid ammonia. The insectoid Chirix clustered in their hive section, thousands of small bodies moving as one mind. At the center podium stood Ambassador Sarah Chin, representing humanity. She was short compared to most species present, her dark hair pulled back, her face calm despite the anger burning in her chest. Around her, holographic displays showed the charges against her species. Humanity, began High Arbiter Zelkith, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence, you stand accused of expansion beyond your designated zones, unauthorized mining of protected systems, and refusing to share your military technology with the Council. Sarah's jaw tightened. We expanded because you gave us 12 systems. Well, for 8 billion humans. The Kryn have 200 systems for half that population. The Kryn, Zelkith said slowly, his translator rendering his clicking language into standard Galactic, have been members of this council for 6,000 years. You have been spacefaring for barely 2 centuries. You must earn your place. By starving? Sarah shot back. Our worlds are overcrowded. Our resources are insufficient due to your species' lack of population control, interrupted council member Thexala, a towering being made of living crystal. Her voice chimed like breaking glass. Humans breed like vermin. You consume without thought. You are dangerous primitives playing with fusion drives. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Sarah felt the weight of their judgment, the casual dismissal. To them, humanity was nothing. A young species. Weak, soft-skinned and short-lived. They had faster-than-light travel only because they'd reverse-engineered a crashed Vorthak scout ship 50 years ago. The Council has decided, Zelkith announced. Humanity will relocate to the Outer Rim, to Sector 777. You have 1 standard year to evacuate your current systems. They will be redistributed to more deserving species. Sarah's blood ran cold. The Outer Rim? That's dead space. Nothing but rogue planets and cosmic radiation. You're sentencing us to extinction. You will adapt, Thexala said, her crystalline face reflecting no emotion. Or you will not. Either way, you will no longer be the Council's problem. We refuse, Sarah said firmly. We will fight this. Zelkith's 4 eyes focused on her. With what fleet? Your 27 warships? The Kryn alone have 3,000. You are in no position to fight, human. You will accept the Council's judgment, or we will enforce it. Sarah looked around the chamber. Not a single species spoke in humanity's defense. They saw humans as competitors, as primitives who didn't know their place. The Galactic Council wasn't a democracy. It was a hierarchy, and humanity was at the bottom. Fine, Sarah said quietly. We'll go. Zelkith seemed surprised by her surrender. A wise choice. Perhaps your species has more intelligence than we credited. Sarah said nothing. She turned and walked toward the exit, her footsteps echoing in the vast chamber. Behind her, the council members were already moving on to other business, humanity forgotten. But Sarah remembered something her grandfather had told her, back when she was a child in the ruins of old Beijing. He'd been a soldier in the resource wars, had seen humanity at its worst and best. When someone pushes you into a corner, he'd said, they forget that corners are where we sharpen our teeth. The Outer Rim. Sector 777. The edge of known space, where the galaxy's light faded into the eternal dark. Where ancient civilizations had supposedly died. Where strange signals sometimes emerged only to vanish. Where no species dared to settle. That's where they were sending humanity. Sarah boarded her shuttle and looked back at Zenther Prime one last time. The massive station gleamed in the light of 3 suns, a monument to galactic civilization. Beautiful. Ordered. Arrogant. Set course for Earth, she told her pilot. Ma'am, he said hesitantly, what are we going to tell them? Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled, though there was no humor in it. Tell them we're going home. Tell them to start packing. And tell Admiral Rodriguez to meet me in the war room. The war room? But we're complying with the evacuation. Oh, we're evacuating, Sarah said. But not because we're weak. We're leaving because they're about to learn what humanity does when you back us into a corner. The shuttle jumped to FTL, leaving the shining council station behind. Behind them, the galaxy's powers congratulated themselves on solving the human problem. None of them suspected what was coming. The evacuation took 11 months. 8 billion humans packed their lives into transport ships, generation vessels, and converted cargo haulers. Earth's cities fell silent. Mars' domes were sealed and abandoned. The outer colonies, hard-won homes on Europa and Titan, were left as ghost towns. Admiral Marcus Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the UNS Defiance, humanity's flagship. It was a brutal, ugly ship compared to the elegant vessels of other species. Human engineering favored function over form. Thick armor, redundant systems, weapons that could be maintained and repaired with simple tools. All ships accounted for, sir, reported Commander Yuki Tanaka. 347 vessels. Military escorts included. Marcus nodded. He was a bear of a man, gray-haired and scarred, with eyes that had seen too many battles. Begin the jump sequence. Destination, Sector 777. The fleet entered FTL space, reality twisting around them. Marcus watched the stars stretch into lines, then vanish. They were heading into the unknown, exiled from the populated galaxy, pushed to the edge. Most species would have broken, would have begged, would have scattered. Humans got angry. In the mess halls of 300 ships, people talked. They shared stories. About the resource wars. About the climate collapse. About the pandemic years. Humanity had survived extinction a dozen times over. They'd fought among themselves with nuclear fire, rebuilt from ashes, and reached for the stars anyway. The Council thought they were exiling a weak species. They were weaponizing a survivor. The journey took 3 weeks at maximum FTL. When they emerged, the fleet found itself in a region of space that defied description. Rogue planets drifted in the dark, massive worlds with no sun, lit only by volcanic activity deep in their cores. Nebulae of strange colors swirled between systems. And everywhere, a background radiation that made sensors scream. "This is hell," Tanaka whispered. "This is home now," Marcus corrected. "Start surveying. Find us somewhere to settle." The survey took 2 days. Most planets were uninhabitable nightmares. Frozen wastelands. Toxic atmospheres. Crushing gravity. But on the 3rd day they found something. "Sir, you need to see this," said Lieutenant Chin, no relation to the ambassador. "We found a moon. Orbiting a rogue gas giant. It's got water. Atmosphere. Plant life." Marcus leaned forward. "That's impossible. Without a sun." "The gas giant is massive, sir. Bigger than Jupiter. The tidal forces generate enough heat to keep the moon warm. And there's something else." Chin hesitated. "There are structures." "What kind of structures?" "Ruins, sir. Old ones. Really old." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. "Send down an exploration team. Full military escort." The landing party descended through clouds of strange purple, touching down on a world lit by the dim glow of its massive parent planet. The moon's surface was covered in forests of black trees with silver leaves. Strange creatures moved in the shadows, things that chittered and fled from the human lights. And rising from the forest, structures. Towers of black metal, covered in symbols that hurt to look at. Dr. Amira Okafor, the team's xenoarchaeologist, approached the nearest tower with trembling hands. "These symbols," she breathed. "They're not like any language in the Council databases. This is old. Older than the Council itself." "How old?" asked Captain Williams, leading the security detail. "Millions of years. Maybe more." Amira touched the metal and gasped. "It's warm. After millions of years, it's still warm." They explored deeper. The towers were hollow, filled with corridors that descended into the moon's crust. And at the bottom they found the chamber. It was vast, easily a kilometer across, walls covered in the same painful symbols. At the center was a device. Crystalline and metallic at once, floating without support, pulsing with a deep blue light. "Don't touch it," Williams warned. But Amira was already reaching out, compelled by something she couldn't explain. Her fingers brushed the surface. Light exploded through the chamber. The symbols on the walls blazed to life. And then a voice. Not heard but felt, resonating in bones and minds. "Inheritors detected. Genetic sequence analyzed. Match confirmed. Welcome, children of Earth." The exploration team stumbled back. Above them, in orbit, every ship's computer simultaneously activated. Data flooded their systems. Blueprints, schematics, scientific equations that would take decades to understand. Marcus watched in shock as his computer screens filled with information. Weapons technology, faster FTL drives, energy systems that defied physics, and something else. Something that made his blood run cold. "Sir," Tanaka said, her voice shaking. According to this data, humans aren't from Earth. We were planted there. Millions of years ago by whoever built these towers. Marcus stared at the data. What does that mean? It means, Amira's voice crackled over the comm, that humanity isn't a young species. We're an old one. And we're just now remembering what we used to be. The discovery changed everything. Within weeks, human engineers were crawling through the ancient ruins, guided by the knowledge that flooded their systems. The device in the chamber, they called it the beacon, continued to broadcast information, always exactly what they needed to know next. Dr. James Park, head of the science division, stood before a holographic display showing human DNA. Look at this, he said to the gathered military and civilian leaders. Our genetic code has sections that are dormant. What? The council species scanned us when we joined, but they only looked at the active sequences. They never saw this. Saw what? Sarah Chin asked. She'd been elected emergency governor by popular vote, the closest thing to a leader humanity had now. We're full of backup systems. Redundancies. Our DNA is engineered for survival. We heal faster than we should. Our immune systems are insane, we can adapt to almost any disease. Our brains have sections that should be active but aren't. It's like we're locked down. Sealed. Why? Marcus demanded. Maybe whoever created us wanted to give their children a chance to survive naturally first. To prove themselves. James pulled up another screen. But look at this. The beacon can unlock these sequences. We can become what we were meant to be. The room fell silent. Sarah finally spoke. What would that do to us? Based on the beacon's data, our strength would increase. Our reaction time. Our intelligence. We'd live longer. Heal faster. Our senses would sharpen. James paused. We'd be better. In every way. That sounds like exactly what we need, said General Zhao, commander of ground forces. The council thinks we're weak. Let's show them otherwise. But Sarah shook her head. We need to be careful. If we change too fast, we might lose what makes us human. Our empathy. Our creativity. The things that actually make us strong. With respect, Governor, Marcus said, we need every advantage. The council won't let us hide out here forever. Eventually they'll come to check on us. Make sure we're dying properly. When they arrive, I want them to find something they never expected. Sarah looked around the room. She saw determination in every face. These were people who'd lost their homes, been exiled by species that saw them as vermin. They wanted revenge. They wanted justice. She wanted it too. All right, she said. But slowly. We test everything. We make sure we stay human. Agreed. Agreed, Marcus said. The transformation began. Volunteers entered the beacon chamber, letting its light wash over them. The locked sections of their DNA activated. Changes swept through their bodies on a cellular level. Some experienced pain. Others felt euphoria. All of them felt awakening. Lieutenant Chen was one of the first. She emerged from the chamber taller, her muscles more defined, her eyes sharper. I can hear the heartbeat of the person 3 rooms away, she said in wonder. I can see individual dust particles in the air. It's like I was blind before and now I can see. But the physical changes were nothing compared to the mental ones. Engineers who'd struggled with advanced physics suddenly understood concepts that had baffled humanity for generations. The beacon's knowledge didn't just give them information, it gave them the capacity to understand it. Within 3 months, the first new ship launched. The UNS Prometheus was unlike anything humanity had built before. It was larger than the Defiance, sleek and deadly, its hull covered in the same black metal as the ancient towers. Its weapons could punch through armor that had been impenetrable. Its shields could absorb energy that would have vaporized older ships. And it was just the first. Shipyards appeared on the moon's surface, massive structures that grew ships like organisms. The beacon provided the blueprints. Human hands did the work. And something else helped too. The changed humans worked faster, needed less sleep, made fewer mistakes. They were becoming something more than human. Something better. But Sarah noticed something troubling. The changed volunteers were starting to separate themselves. They ate together. Trained together. Talked about the unawakened, with barely concealed pity. She called Marcus to her office. We're creating a divide. Enhanced and normal. That's dangerous. Marcus looked tired. He'd refused the enhancement, saying commanders needed to stay grounded. I know. But we need the edge. The council has been expanding for 10,000 years. We've had 2 centuries. We need to catch up fast. At what cost? Sarah asked. Before Marcus could answer, alarms blared throughout the settlement. Tanaka's voice came over the comm, Governor Admiral, we have incoming ships. Multiple signatures. They're not broadcasting Council IFF codes. Who are they? Sarah demanded. Tanaka's voice was grim. Unknown. But they're heading straight for us. And they're armed. Sarah and Marcus exchanged looks. Their time to prepare had run out. Someone had found them. The unknown fleet emerged from FTL at the edge of the system. 15 ships, each one massive, built from what looked like bone and coral. They moved with organic grace, like sharks circling prey. On the bridge of the Defiance, Marcus studied the sensor data. Life signs. Negative, sir, Tanaka reported. But there's energy readings. Lots of them. These ships are powered by something we've never seen. Hail them, Marcus ordered. The comm crackled, then cleared. The face that appeared on the screen made several crew members gasp. It was humanoid but wrong. Gray skin pulled tight over bone. Eyes like black pits. Mouth full of crystalline teeth. Humans, the being said, its voice a rasping whisper. We detected the beacon's activation. We thought all the inheritors were extinct. Sarah stepped forward, joining Marcus on the screen. Who are you? We are the Vex. We have been watching this galaxy for eons, waiting. The beacon you found belonged to your ancestors. The first ones. They seeded life across thousands of worlds before they disappeared. What do you want? Marcus demanded. The Vex's expression didn't change. To make sure you die. Just like all the other inheritor species. The first ones created races too dangerous to exist. Every time one of their children awakens, we come to end them. The Vex ships began advancing. Battle stations. Marcus roared. All ships prepare for combat. Activate the Prometheus. The human fleet moved into defensive formation. 27 old warships and one new one against 15 Vex vessels. The math wasn't good. But the Vex didn't know what humanity had become. The first Vex ship fired, a beam of purple energy that should have cut the Defiance in half. Instead, it splashed against shields that held firm. Technology from the beacon, powered by principles the Council never discovered. Return fire. Marcus ordered. The Defiance's railguns, crude weapons by Council standards, punched through the Vex ship's hull like paper. The Vex vessel spun, atmosphere venting, but didn't die. Its hull began regenerating. They're healing, Tanaka said in disbelief. Then we hit them harder, Marcus growled. Prometheus, you're clear to engage. The UNS Prometheus entered the battle like a predator among sheep. Its weapons were beyond what humanity had before. Energy cannons that tore through Vex shields. Missile systems that tracked and adapted. And something new, a weapon derived from the beacon's knowledge that disrupted the Vex ship's regeneration. The space battle became chaos. Human ships dodged and weaved, using tactics no Council species had ever seen. They didn't fight like civilized races following rules of engagement. They fought like survivors, using every dirty trick they'd learned in centuries of war among themselves. The Defiance rammed a Vex ship, its reinforced hull crashing through the organic vessel's side. Marines in powered armor boarded, fighting hand-to-hand with Vex warriors in the corridors. Lieutenant Chen led the boarding party. Enhanced now, she moved with inhuman speed. A Vex warrior lunged at her, but she was faster. Her blade, forged from beacon metal, cut through its crystalline armor. Around her, her team fought with precision that seemed impossible. They're not just soldiers, one Vex warrior hissed before Chen silenced it. They're weapons. On the Prometheus, Captain Rodriguez, Marcus's daughter, stood at the helm. Target their flagship. All weapons. The Prometheus unleashed hell. Energy beams, kinetic slugs, and something else. A weapon that made reality itself twist. The Vex flagship's shields collapsed. Its hull ruptured. And deep inside, something critical failed. The flagship exploded in a bloom of purple fire. The remaining Vex ships began to retreat, but Marcus wasn't done. Pursuit course. No survivors. Sir, Tanaka protested, the rules of engagement. The Council's rules, Marcus said coldly. We're not part of their club anymore. Out here we make our own rules. And rule one is, threats don't get second chances. The human fleet chased down the fleeing Vex ships. One by one they were destroyed. When it was over, debris filled the space around humanity's new home. Sarah watched from the command center on the moon's surface. The victory felt hollow. They'd won, but they'd done it by becoming something darker. Dr. Okafor approached her. Governor, the beacon is transmitting again. New information. What is it? A warning. The Vex were just scouts. They have an empire somewhere in dark space. When their ships don't report back, they'll send more. Hundreds. Thousands. Sarah closed her eyes. Then we need to be ready. How long do we have? The beacon estimates 6 months. Maybe less. Sarah looked out at the fleet, at the volunteers lining up for enhancement, at the shipyards working around the clock. Humanity had been pushed to the edge. Now they were adapting to survive. But with every step forward, she wondered, were they saving themselves or losing what made them human? 6 months, she said quietly. Then we show them what humanity really is. The next 6 months transformed humanity beyond recognition. The settlement on the moon, they named it Haven, grew into a fortress. Cities rose from the alien soil, built with technology that blended human engineering with the beacon's ancient knowledge. Factories churned out weapons. Shipyards launched new vessels every week. And the people changed. By the 4th month, nearly 70% of humanity had undergone enhancement. It was voluntary, but the pressure was immense. Enhanced humans were stronger, smarter, faster. They survived injuries that would kill baseline humans. They lived longer. Those who refused enhancement found themselves pushed aside, given simpler jobs, excluded from the military. Sarah watched the division grow with mounting dread. She called a council meeting. Marcus was there along with the department heads. But there were new faces too. Dr. Kenji Yamamoto, who'd undergone enhancement and now led the weapons development. Colonel Petra Volkov, whose reflexes were so fast she could dodge bullets. They all had the same look, confident to the point of arrogance. We need to talk about integration, Sarah said. Enhanced and baseline humans are barely speaking to each other. We're becoming two species. Perhaps that's natural selection, Kenji said, his voice calm. Evolution in action. The enhanced are simply better equipped for the challenges we face. That's eugenics, Sarah snapped. That's the kind of thinking that led to humanity's worst atrocities. Marcus leaned forward. Sarah, I understand your concerns. But look at the numbers. Enhanced soldiers are 90% more effective. Enhanced engineers design ships twice as fast. Enhanced pilots have perfect reaction times. We need this edge. At what cost? Sarah demanded. We're losing our humanity. We're becoming what we were meant to be, Petra said softly. The ancestors engineered us for a reason. We're finally fulfilling our potential. Sarah looked around the table. She saw it in their eyes. They weren't just enhanced. They were believers. They'd drunk from the well of ancient power and decided they were better than what they'd been. Fine, she said quietly. But I'm staying baseline. Someone needs to remember what we were. The room fell silent. Then Marcus nodded. Noted, Governor. But Sarah saw the pity in their eyes. They saw her as limited. Weak. A relic of humanity's past. That night, Sarah visited Dr. Park in his lab. James was one of the few enhanced humans who still seemed to retain his humanity. Tell me the truth, she said. What's happening to us? James looked tired. The enhancement is working too well. It's not just physical changes. The beacon's knowledge rewires neural pathways. Enhanced humans think differently. They're more logical, more efficient. But they're losing something. Emotional complexity. Doubt. Fear. The things that make us human. Can it be reversed? I don't know. The beacon isn't responding to questions about that. James paused. Sarah, there's something else. I've been studying the ruins. The symbols. I think I know what happened to the ancestors. What? They enhanced themselves too. Became more than biological. Uploaded their consciousness into the beacon network. They thought they were ascending. But something went wrong. They spread across the galaxy, seeding worlds with their children, hoping one of those children would do better. Would find balance. And the Vex. I think the Vex are what happens when an inheritor species goes too far. When enhancement becomes obsession. They're not trying to destroy us. They're trying to mercy kill us before we become like them. Sarah sat down heavily. So we're damned either way. Enhance and lose ourselves. Don't enhance and get destroyed. Maybe, James said. Or maybe we find a third option. Maybe we prove we're better than our ancestors. That we can use their gifts without losing our souls. Before Sarah could respond, alarms blared. Tanaka's voice came over the comm. Governor, Admiral, the Vex are here. Multiple signatures. Hundreds of them. Sarah and Marcus met on the Defiance's bridge. Through the windows they could see the Vex fleet emerging from FTL. Not hundreds. Thousands. Ships of bone and coral, filling space like a swarm. They brought everything, Marcus said quietly. A transmission came through. The same gray-skinned Vex face from before. Humans, you were warned. You chose extinction. So be it. The Vex fleet began its attack. But humanity was ready. The first wave of Vex ships met a wall of fire. Human vessels, enhanced and precise, fought with tactics the Vex had never encountered. The Prometheus led the charge, supported by 50 new ships of similar design. They didn't fight like council species in neat formations with predictable strategies. They fought like humans. Chaotic, unpredictable, vicious. And for the first time in eons, the Vex began to lose. The battle for Haven raged for 3 days. The Vex came in waves, each one larger than the last. They adapted their tactics, learned from their losses, threw more ships at the problem. But humans adapted faster. On the Defiance's bridge, Marcus orchestrated the defense with cold precision. Enhanced neural implants let him track thousands of variables simultaneously. He could see the entire battlefield in his mind, every ship a piece on a massive chessboard. Flanking formation Echo, he ordered. Draw them toward the asteroid field. The human fleet scattered, appearing to retreat. The Vex pursued, eager for the kill. Then they entered the asteroid field. Human ships emerged from behind rocks, weapons blazing. Mines activated, tearing through Vex hulls. It was an ambush, executed with perfect timing. But the Vex kept coming. On the moon's surface, General Zhao watched thousands of Vex landing craft descend. All ground forces prepare for contact. The Vex warriors that emerged were nightmares made flesh. Humanoid but twisted, bodies covered in crystalline armor, weapons grown from their own bones. They moved in perfect coordination, a hive mind directed by some distant intelligence. They met humanity's enhanced soldiers. The battle was brutal. Vex warriors were strong, but enhanced humans were stronger. Fast, but humans were faster. The Vex fought with the confidence of a species that had destroyed countless civilizations. Humans fought with the rage of a species that refused to die. Lieutenant Chen led her squad through Haven streets. A Vex warrior lunged at her from a building. She didn't flinch. Her enhanced reflexes kicked in. She sidestepped, her blade finding the gap in its armor. The Vex fell, ichor spreading on the alien ground. They're pushing toward the beacon chamber, she reported. They want to destroy it. Hold them, Marcus ordered from orbit. No matter what. The fighting intensified around the ancient ruins. Vex warriors threw themselves at the human defensive lines with suicidal determination. They knew if they destroyed the beacon, humanity would lose access to their ancestral knowledge. But humans had learned something the Vex hadn't expected. They'd learned to use the beacon not just for knowledge but as a weapon. Dr. Okafor stood in the beacon chamber, her hands on the crystalline device. Governor, I'm ready. Sarah, watching from the command center, hesitated. Amira, we don't know what this will do to you. I know, Amira said calmly. She'd been enhanced 3 months ago. But the beacon is more than a database. It's a conduit. The ancestors used it to connect across space. If I can tap into that network, I can transmit a signal that will disrupt the Vex hive mind. You could die. Then I die saving humanity. There are worse deaths. Amira smiled. Besides, I'm curious. I want to see what's on the other side. Before Sarah could stop her, Amira pressed her consciousness into the beacon. Light exploded through the chamber. Across the battlefield, every Vex warrior suddenly stopped. Their movements became jerky, uncoordinated. The hive mind was fracturing. But Amira was screaming. She's seeing too much, James shouted, monitoring the readings. The beacon network spans the entire galaxy. All the knowledge of all the ancestors. It's burning through her mind. Pull her out. Sarah ordered. I can't. She's locked in. In orbit, Marcus saw the Vex fleet faltering. Their perfect coordination was gone. Ships collided with each other. Weapons fired at random. Press the advantage. All ships attack. The human fleet surged forward. The Prometheus targeted the Vex command ship, a massive vessel 3 times its size. Captain Rodriguez didn't hesitate. Ram them. Ma'am? You heard me. Full speed. Ram them. The Prometheus accelerated, its shields burning bright. It struck the Vex command ship like a spear. The collision was catastrophic. Both ships crumpled, metal and bone twisting together. But the Prometheus had one more surprise. In its final moments, Captain Rodriguez activated the ship's reactor overload. The explosion was visible from the moon's surface, a new sun born in the darkness. When the light faded, the Vex command ship was gone. And without coordination, the Vex fleet began to retreat. Marcus watched them go, his face grim. His daughter was dead. The Prometheus destroyed. But they'd won. On the surface, the Vex warriors collapsed, their connection severed. Enhanced human soldiers moved among them, offering mercy or death. In the beacon chamber, Amira finally pulled free. She collapsed, her nose bleeding, her eyes unfocused. "I saw them," she whispered. "The ancestors. They're still out there. In the network. Waiting." "Waiting for what?" Sarah asked. "For us. To be ready. To join them." Amira's eyes focused on Sarah. "The Vex were right to fear us. We're not just inheritors. We're the ancestors' final attempt. Their last hope. And we're ready to claim what they left behind." 3 months after the battle, a council fleet arrived at Sector 777. High Arbiter Zelkith led the expedition personally. He'd come to verify that humanity was extinct, to reclaim the sector for redistribution. Instead he found haven. The moon was now a fortress world, covered in cities that gleamed with technology the council didn't recognize. In orbit, a fleet of 50 warships, each one more advanced than anything in council space. And when they hailed the human ships, the faces that appeared made Zelkith's blood run cold. They looked human but enhanced. Perfect. Their eyes held an intelligence that was almost frightening. "High Arbiter," Sarah Chin said, her voice calm. "Welcome to humanity's new home." Zelkith found his voice. What happened here? You were supposed to be dying. Struggling. Not this." "We adapted," Sarah said simply. "Isn't that what you told us to do? This is impossible. Your technology." "Our technology," Marcus interrupted, appearing on screen beside Sarah, "is our own. Recovered from our ancestors. You see, High Arbiter, humanity isn't as young as you thought." Zelkith's 4 eyes widened. "The ruins. You found something in the ruins." "We found ourselves," Sarah said. "The council exiled us to die. Instead, you pushed us to a place where we could become what we were always meant to be." "The council will not allow this," Zelkith said, trying to sound authoritative. "You are still bound by galactic law." "We left your jurisdiction when you exiled us," Marcus said coldly. "We're not asking for permission anymore. We're informing you. Humanity is returning to council space. We're taking back our original systems. And we're claiming 30 more. That's an act of war." "No," Sarah said quietly. "That's an act of survival. You tried to kill us. You failed. Now you have 2 choices. Accept our return and grant us full council status with appropriate territory. Or fight us." "You have 50 ships," Zelkith sputtered. "The council has thousands." "Then send them," Marcus said. "We've already fought the Vex and won. Your council fleet doesn't frighten us." Zelkith cut the transmission. He turned to his fleet commander. "This is a disaster. Return to Zenta Prime immediately. The council must know." But the commander was staring at his sensors. "Sir? They're following us." "What?" "The human fleet. They're matching our course. They're coming with us." The council fleet jumped to FTL, racing toward the core worlds. Behind them, humanity's fleet followed like shadows. 3 weeks later they arrived at Zenta Prime. The council had gathered its fleet, 3,000 ships representing 47 species. They formed a defensive wall around the station, weapons armed, ready to die defending galactic civilization. Humanity's 50 ships took position opposite them. Sarah stood on the bridge of a new flagship, the UNS Prometheus II, built in honor of the fallen. "Open a channel to all council species." Her face appeared on screens across 3,000 ships on the council station, broadcast to every civilized world in the galaxy. "People of the council," she began. 6 months ago you exiled humanity to the edge of known space. You expected us to die. To fade away quietly. To be forgotten. Instead you gave us exactly what we needed. You pushed us to a place where we could discover who we really are." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We are not a young species. We are inheritors of the first ones, the civilization that seeded life across this galaxy millions of years ago. You look at our short lifespans and think us weak. You see our soft skin and think us fragile. But you forget that we survived our own world. A world that tried to kill us with ice ages, diseases, predators, and our own violence. We didn't just survive. We conquered." Across the council fleet, representatives watched in growing fear. "In the Outer Rim we fought the Vex. An ancient enemy that has destroyed countless civilizations. They came with thousands of ships. We defeated them with 50. What? Because humans don't fight like you do. We don't follow your rules of honorable combat. We fight to win. We adapt. We endure. We overcome." Marcus appeared beside her on the screen. The Council has a choice to make. You can accept humanity as an equal member with full rights and appropriate territory. Or you can fight us. But understand this, we've unlocked technology your species have never dreamed of. Every human ship here is worth 10 of yours. Every enhanced human soldier is worth 20 of your best warriors. You're bluffing, Zelkatha's voice cut in. Even with superior technology, you're outnumbered 60 to 1. Sarah smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. Are we? Computer, activate the fleet. Space rippled. Behind humanity's 50 ships, hundreds more emerged from stealth. The human fleet had been there all along, invisible to Council sensors. 200 ships. Each one bristling with weapons that made Council technology look primitive. But Sarah wasn't done. And we're not alone anymore, she said. Show them Amira. Dr. Okafor's face appeared, transmitted from Haven. She looked different now. Her eyes glowed with faint blue light. When I connected with the beacon, I made contact with something. Other inheritor species. Hidden across the galaxy. Watching. Waiting. Wondering if humanity would be worthy. The space around the Council fleet rippled again. Ships appeared. Designs unlike anything the Council had ever seen. Vessels of pure energy. Ships that existed partially in another dimension. Craft built from living metal. 5 other species. All inheritors. All awakened. All backing humanity. We are the children of the first ones, Sarah said. And we're taking our place in this galaxy. Not as servants. Not as inferiors. As leaders. The Council chamber erupted in chaos. Some species called for immediate surrender. Others demanded war. Zelkath sat frozen, his 4 eyes staring at the impossible fleet before him. Finally, Thexala, the crystalline being who'd called humans vermin, spoke. What do you want? Simple, Sarah said. The 12 systems you gave us, plus 38 more of our choosing. Full Council membership with veto power. Access to all Council databases and technology. And most importantly, recognition that humanity and our inheritor allies are equals, not subjects. And if we refuse? Sarah's expression hardened. Then we take what we need. The Council has ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years through fear and hierarchy. You keep young species down, limit their growth, force them to serve. That ends now. Either you accept change or we'll force it. The silence stretched. 3,000 Council ships. 200 human ships plus the mysterious inheritor allies. A battle here would devastate both sides. Zelkath finally spoke. The Council will need time to deliberate. You have 1 hour, Marcus said. After that, we start taking systems by force. The channel closed. On the Prometheus 2's bridge, Sarah let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Do you think they'll accept? They don't have a choice, Marcus said. We've shown them power they can't match. But more than that, we've shown them the future. A galaxy where strength matters more than age. Where innovation defeats stagnation. 58 minutes later, the Council's answer came. They accepted. All of humanity's demands. Full membership. Territory. Recognition. The vote wasn't unanimous. Several species threatened to leave the Council in protest. But most understood the truth. Humanity had changed the game. The old rules no longer applied. Sarah watched the Council station through the viewport. We won, she said quietly. Did we? Marcus asked. Look at what we've become. Enhanced humans. Allied with species we barely understand. Using technology we didn't create. Are we still humans, Sarah? Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Then she turned to face him. I think we're what humanity was always meant to be. Strong enough to survive. Smart enough to adapt. But still compassionate enough to offer peace instead of conquest. The Council had the power to exterminate us. They chose exile instead. Now we have the power to destroy them. And we're choosing coexistence. Some of the enhanced don't see it that way, Marcus warned. They want domination. They think we're superior. Then it's our job to remind them where we came from. To keep our humanity alive even as we become more than human. Sarah looked out at the stars. The ancestors lost themselves in their enhancement. They became so advanced they forgot how to be alive. We won't make that mistake. How can you be sure? Because I'm staying baseline, Sarah said firmly. And I'll make sure there's always a voice for those who choose not to enhance. We'll be a species of 2 types of humans. Enhanced and baseline. Living together. Proving that advancement doesn't require uniformity. Across the fleet, celebrations erupted. Humanity had gone from exiled refugees to galactic powers in 6 months. They discovered their heritage, survived extinction, defeated an ancient enemy, and forced the council to recognize their strength. But in quiet corners, enhanced humans gathered and talked. About potential. About destiny. About what humanity could become if they stopped holding back. The seeds of future conflict were already planted. For now, though, there was victory. On Haven, people danced in the streets. Children who'd been born in exile would now grow up as citizens of the galaxy's most powerful emerging civilization. On Earth, still abandoned, automated systems began receiving signals. Return missions were being planned. Humanity would reclaim their birth world. And in the beacon chamber, the ancient device pulsed with light. Its purpose fulfilled. Its children awakened. But it held more secrets still. More knowledge. More power. Waiting for the day humanity would be ready for the next step. Sarah stood on the bridge of the Prometheus 2 and looked at her reflection in the viewport. Still human. Still mortal. Still vulnerable. But backed by a fleet that could challenge the galaxy. Set course for Earth, she ordered. Let's go home. The human fleet turned as one, leaving the council station behind. They'd been pushed to the galaxy's edge. They'd found what lived there. They'd found themselves. And the galaxy would never be the same.